Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. We are going to be talking about Darwin Nunez today because the big breaking news surrounding him has got very interesting indeed. We've of course been talking about Darwin Nunez for a while now. This is a snowballing story, a snowballing saga that has really taken over the early stages of this transfer window, of course. We talked about him a few days ago. Lots of people have been talking about Darwin Nunez for a while now. It seems definite that he's going to be leaving Benfica this summer, but the question of where his destination will lie is still hanging in the balance. It seemed for a while that Manchester United were in pole position to sign him. It seemed that obviously they were the front runners in this sort of race, if you like, to sign one of the most promising strikers around in football, at least one of the most promising available strikers in world football right now. We've of course talked about previously Erling Haaland and a couple of others that have obviously had their futures up in the air, but Darwin Nunez is definitely one of those players that is being talked about a lot, raved about, and seemingly has a very, very bright future. It seemed Manchester United were in pole position, but news today seems to suggest that maybe, just maybe, their arch rivals Liverpool are waiting in the wings to hijack this potential deal. We've of course talked about Darwin Nunez a lot. We've talked about how United were in pole position, Atletico Madrid and Liverpool were seemingly lingering in the background for him, and now today it could be that Liverpool are preparing or about to launch an absolute massive and monumental bid for the Uruguayan striker. This could be massive news, and especially big news for Liverpool. And it's news that has seemingly divided the Liverpool fan base on whether or not he's worth the figure that's been talking about, or whether he's just worth buying in general. Before we get into all of this, talking about it, I would like to remind you all, please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated, of course. But for now, let's get into this topic, because this is actually pretty interesting, and especially for me, obviously being a Liverpool fan, it is pretty big news. First and foremost, I'd like to say that I am actually on board with this, and I'll explain why I am on board later on as the video progresses. But I am genuinely on board with this. I think that he offers us something that we don't have right now. I think he offers us something that is different to what the likes of Jota and the likes of Roberto Firmino currently possess and offer this Liverpool squad. But we'll build up to that. We're going to talk about how this story came about. So a few journalists have basically broke this story. A few of the top tier Liverpool journalists have broke this story, and the overall consensus from multiple outlets and journalists and different various media positions have all seemingly stated that Liverpool are willing to bid 100 million euros for the Benfica striker, which works out at roughly, give or take, around about 85 million pounds for him. Dominic King, leading Liverpool journalist, has basically stated Liverpool want to sign Darwin Nunez and are prepared to smash their transfer record to get him. Nunez keen on Liverpool, Man United and Atletico Madrid are also interested in him. What followed up was from James Pearce of The Athletic, and obviously again another top tier Liverpool journalist, who basically stated Liverpool keen to sign Benfica's Darwin Nunez, who is viewed as an ideal fit style wise. We know that the style is obviously very important to Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool, and there's a reason why Liverpool's transfer business in recent years has obviously been very successful. However, price could be an issue, still assessing other targets as they won't get drawn into a bidding war. Now, a few people have speculated on this, saying that the use of the term a bidding war seems to suggest that maybe 85 million is the ceiling, the limit to which Liverpool will go, and that Liverpool will try and bring the price down to try and get him on a cut of the deal. Also, it is being speculated that maybe that is a cover for just in case Liverpool do miss out on Darwin Nunez that they weren't prepared to go above and beyond to go and get him should the price tag go above that kind of £85 million threshold, which is seemingly what is being stated around this current deal. But either way, it is pretty interesting and pretty exciting, as the transfer window is certainly hotting up, not just in terms of this case, but also in other cases of various players across Europe and the world of football. And like I say, the Liverpool fan base seems very divided on this. The Liverpool fan base seems very 50-50 on this. He seems to be a very controversial figure in the sense of whether we sign him or whether we don't. A lot of Liverpool fans are looking at him as saying he's unproven. A lot of Liverpool fans are saying that he comes from the Portuguese league. Well, Luis Diaz came from the Portuguese league, you know, and he's hit the ground running and been absolutely phenomenal since signing. So that kind of withdraws that, and I get it. He's 22 years of age and he's a striker. It's one of them. It is probably the most important position on a football pitch because his job is to obviously score goals. But you can't argue with the facts. His goals record is actually pretty impressive. He scored 26 goals in 28 games in the league this season. He's scored 34 goals in total and overall appearances during this campaign. And overall for Benfica, he scored 47 goals and assisted 16 times in 84 appearances for the Portuguese club since signing for them back in 2020. And let's face it, that is what we're buying him for. There's been a lot of talk about his passing stats sort of deteriorating over the past few years. Forget all that. Like, they are things that I think Liverpool would have looked at and seen that we can help him improve that kind of side of his game, because he's going to have to improve those kinds of things to his game. They are easily, I believe, rectifiable. They are easily things that can be improved upon by the club, by having better players, by having a better manager, and so on and so forth. But let's not forget, the main reason we're buying him is for goals. And I think in response, obviously they won't say this, but in response to like Manchester City going out and buying an Erling Haaland, for example, Liverpool have decided to act and try and bring in someone else. We know that they're after a number 9. We've heard plenty of talk that they're after a few, there's a few strikers on their radar. We obviously know that Mane's leaving. We know that Roberto Firmino's contract is up at the end of next season. Takumi Minamino is seemingly on his way out of Liverpool. So, and Divock Origi's also gone as well. So there's going to be a lot of change to the forward line, I would reckon, over the next 12 months or so. And obviously, this could be one monumental, groundbreaking change, because let's face it, Liverpool have been the false number 9 team for the past couple of years. Same with City, really, for the past couple of years. Like, City and Liverpool have found success despite not having a proper recognised striker, the false number 9 role, as I previously mentioned to. So, but still managed to obviously score plenty of goals and be the top goal scorers in the division for the past few years. So there's a lot to it than this is just another player. There's obviously a seemingly change going forward in Jurgen Klopp's mind, and obviously this guy, I would suggest, is a very good prospect for the future, and obviously will improve. I think he's still a little rough around the edges. I think there is still elements of his game, as I previously talked about, that he needs to improve upon. His build-up and link-up play being an example, with pressing and things like that. But I think with the change in league, the change in style, the change that obviously will meet him, that he's going up against in this league, will obviously help him to achieve that and to obviously get better, along with, like I said before, playing with better players and playing under a better manager. I think all of those things combined will help Darwin Nunez reach his potential, or close to his potential, or even exceed his potential, and maybe get even better, and obviously to reach that next level in his career, and obviously become or have a better chance of becoming even more successful than he would be maybe elsewhere, and especially at I just think that at 22 years of age, he's got something for the present that can help this Liverpool team. Like I say, I believe that he's different. He's got something that not many of the Liverpool players right now currently have. I think he offers us something different in an attacking sense, and I think that in terms of his physicality, I think that it's a very worthy asset of his, and I have talked about this in the previous video that I did, but I think his physicality is a very good asset of his, and I think that with that being up to scratch and up to standard, I think that he can definitely challenge in the Premier League right off the bat, and I think that he is ready for this Premier League challenge, because that's what a lot of people question about a player: the physicality of it, the well-being, the endurance, and all that. I think he's got that in abundance, and I think that he is ready to put that to the test in this league. I think his positional sense and his awareness and his understanding of the game is a very good quality of his, and I think it's even better for a player of his age that obviously he's got those things in his arsenal and in his locker, and he can still grow, improve upon them, and evolve his game further. And like I say, under Jurgen Klopp, he's definitely going to do that. He's a big, powerful presence. He's good in the air. I think sometimes that's what Liverpool lacks sometimes, being good in the air. And obviously, that will help out both Andy Robertson on the left and Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right. Both love to cross from deep. Both love to cross from just from wide positions in general. But sometimes there's not a big target man in there sometimes. Normally it's just firing it at the back post and hoping like a Mane or a Salah or someone is on the end of it. Now they actually may have someone to play off, not just in terms of their build-up play, but in terms of finding someone in the box from those wide positions, as well as from set pieces, of course. So I think there's a lot to his game that can definitely benefit Liverpool and help Liverpool going forward. But let's face it, it's all about his goal scoring. Goal scorers, especially consistent ones, are very difficult to come by, and I think that obviously he will bring a lot of that to Liverpool. And I think that obviously with the Mohamed Salah situation still very much up in the air, I think Liverpool needs something that is not necessarily a guarantee, because nothing's ever a guarantee, and especially from transfers outside of the Premier League coming into the Premier League, they're definitely not guarantees, but someone who is projected to be as close as a guarantee as what you can get. I think that is going to be a very, very good signing, and a very quality one at that, for years to come for Liverpool and for Jurgen Klopp. In my honest opinion, if you haven't guessed already, is I'm completely on board with this. Not fully on board at all. I'd say I'm more like 80 to 20% if I was to like put some sort of weird percentage on it. I like him, I rate him as a player. I think he's got some good attributes and some good qualities, and a lot of talent that can definitely benefit and help this Liverpool side going forward. I think that obviously he will grow and he will evolve, playing around better players and playing under a better manager in Jurgen Klopp. But the main part about this that I'm sold on is obviously about the Liverpool scouting. Liverpool scouting and Jurgen Klopp's scouting and everything that goes along with that hand in hand has obviously been, for the most part, faultless. There have obviously been one or two that you kind of question mark and you kind of maybe not, but for the most part, faultless. For the most part, flawless in terms of their scouting and in terms of picking specific players that may not be everybody's first choice, but players that may be like, yeah, you'll do because you can do this, this and this, and that is different to what we have got, and it will slot in straight away. Like I say, Luis Diaz being a prime example, Ibrahima Konate being another. Like, it's just so good, and I think that Liverpool fans need to calm down. Liverpool fans that are against this need to completely calm down in terms of they don't want this kind of player because he doesn't do this, or his passing stat is like this, or his this stats like this. That's just, I think for the most part they just need to calm down a bit and they need to put their faith in this Liverpool scouting, in Jurgen Klopp, because let's face it, they've earned it. They've earned that kind of trust and that faith over the past few years of obviously going into the transfer window and transfer market and picking up some absolute gems from here, there and everywhere. So I think they definitely deserve it. Am I completely sold on the fee? Definitely not. It's interesting that when James Pearce says bidding war as to whether or not 85 million is the ceiling, or whether Liverpool are just going to go just throw that 85 million on the table and just say take it or leave it. It's going to be interesting to see how the kind of negotiations and how the kind of stories around that kind of play out. But I'm not completely sold on 85 million, but at the same, or 100 million euros, whichever way around you want to put it. But at the same time, I can understand why big money is being talked about here, because let's say that this guy does go to the Premier League and he does hit the ground running and he's scoring between 20 and 30 goals season after season. His price tag is only going to go up and continue to escalate. Obviously, the more he plays, the more he scores, the more recognition he's going to get, and obviously the more awards that he's going to win, and that's going to be a problem. He's going to be a big problem for whoever snaps him up, if that is to obviously be the case, and he is obviously going to go on to reach the projected heights that he's going to go, that he's set to go to. Very promising footballer, very good footballer right now, someone that can get even better for the future, and someone that I personally hope will be signing for Liverpool this summer. I think that he's got very good attributes and is a very high quality talent that's still a little rough around the edges, and I'm not completely sold on a transfer fee, but if Liverpool can sign him, I'm pretty confident that that would be a very good piece of business for the Reds going forward. But as I always say, guys, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of the news that Darwin Nunez is possibly going to Liverpool this summer, after the Reds are set to be preparing a monumental bid for the Uruguayan striker? I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, down below in the comment section, because like I say, this is a very seemingly controversial topic, but especially if you're in the Liverpool fan base right now, it seems to be very split on whether or not to sign him or not to sign him, or whether to spend the money that is being talked about and thrown around. So do let me know what you think in the comment section below, because I'm sure it'll all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up if you enjoy the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this, but as always and frankly greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you all again soon in another video.